Hey, bro, don't forget, it ain't the first 48, bro. It's 60 minutes, bro.
We heard a whole lot of lip service, but hey, anybody can do that. But between the lines,
come with the kid, you best not miss. Even the score now, we need to score now. Back on that wall, when you hear that call, you know it's going down. We play from beginning to ending, you know how we finish. Turn to the bank, gotta handle our business. We need the ball, so it's time to go get it. Play with your heart when you hit, make like, who you with? You know I'm with. You come to the bank and get out of line, we sending a blitz. Say who you with? You know I'm with. That purple and black, and when we attack, you know what it is.
You're now locked in Zone 32.
Oh shit, it's about that time again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Zone 32 podcast. We got a quartet tonight. I don't know who the other two are, but my name is Jake. His name is Drew. His name is Will. His name is BT. Say what's up to the people.
No.
Fuck you.
Alright, fine.
Fuck off.
Alright. Anyway, I don't have to eat chili spaghetti tonight because the Ravens fucking beat the Bengals like I said they would. Supposed to, I thought it would be, but you know what? It doesn't matter. Still got the dub. Ravens win 35-34. Bengals fail on a fucking 2-point conversion. See a lot of Bengals fans whining, bitching, and complaining about missed calls that did not impact that play at all because all of them happened after the fact. So, fuck off. Shouldn't have thrown the ball to Tanner Hudson. You had Chase one-on-one against B. Steve, so you're dumb on that. But it doesn't matter because you fucking lost. And Lamar Jackson is fucking balling out of his mind. So, Drew, I'm going to shut the fuck up and I'm going to let you have the floor.
Yeah, just shout out Joe Burrow being an absolute fucking moron. Brandon Stevens one-on-one with Jamar Chase. Everybody in the stadium was probably expecting that ball to go to Jamar Chase. Brandon Stevens was probably expecting that ball to go to Jamar Chase. And Jamar Chase probably would have caught it. So I don't know why he didn't fucking throw it to him. But shout out Joe Burrow for bailing out our fucking secondary after that atrocious showing. Got away from the run a little bit offense. Not Derrick Henry's best game in a Ravens uniform. I don't think it much mattered because we ended up winning, but that would have been kind of like a main gripe of mine if we had lost, is that the run worked for the most part and we, run the ball a ton, especially when your secondary is that bad. Like, keep defense off the field for as long as possible is ideal. Nail painting freak caught the game-winning touchdown pass. I got a nauseating amount of tweets about that. I was mid-tearing him to shreds for dropping the one before that.
Right.
And then he actually caught the game winner. So I was like, thank God I have that play on.
Literally the play before.
Yeah, I figured out how to turn on that, when you're verified, you give you this like 20-second window to edit your tweet before it's sent. And then they took that away for a while, but I figured out how to turn it back on. And so I actually had typed the tweet out, click send, and it was still like processing and uploading when he caught the game-winning touchdown. So I deleted that shit really quick before it ever hit the, universe. But yeah, good for him. Did his fucking job. Mark Andrews is fully back. I think it's fair to say now. People were, I don't know, rightfully worried about him. I think that some people went a little overboard and wanted to trade him and get rid of him. I said give him a couple weeks off, but whatever, back to being himself. So we're all good there. My real takeaway from that game is if I, get Marcus Williams to fuck off the field. I don't think that anybody else can watch that game and not have that takeaway. Secondary was bad. Brandon Stevens was getting his ass kicked all game. Marlon's Marlon, he's fine. I want to see more of Nate Wiggins. I want to see less of Brandon Stevens, and I want to see none of Marcus Williams. I think is my takeaway after that showing. Our pass rush is not good either. I keep seeing people post. PFF posted league leaders in pressures, and we're second behind the Broncos. We're like 35 pressures behind them. They have 240 when we have 205 or something like that. So, we don't get any sacks out though. So that's kind of what bothers me. I think just in general, I'm moderately irritated with the pass rush. I think we need to get home and, tackle the quarterback more. Secondary's fucking interesting. It all starts with Marcus Williams. So I don't know if anybody else has any other thoughts. I can't see what anybody's commenting on the screen because my phone's too far away from me, but anything intelligent.
And you have fucking pit vipers on. Well, so Jake, you started off by saying the Bengals fans are complaining about the officiating. It was a poorly officiated game.
They swallowed the fucking whistle and put away the flags on the most important play of the game. So I will. If you're gonna have a poorly officiated game, but when it becomes crunch time and they're gonna put the flags away, I will live with that every time. Because I would rather
what
have.
I mean is they missed a lot of calls in the game.
Yeah, they definitely.
There was
at least five missed calls in that game-sealing play.
Well, not just that. I'm saying like plays before that. So it's stupid to isolate that play if you're a Bengals fan and blame that.
I mean, they are right. He did, it was illegal, hands to the face, whatever you want to call it. He hit Burrow high.
But he
I
was
don't
also
think
being dragged down to the ground in a hold by the center.
Yeah,
when
and
that
he
happened.
also had his hands in that center's face mask too. So again,
Because he's being pulled down to the ground by his jersey.
right,
But like
regardless,
the first touchdown of the game, the Bengals' first touchdown was a blatant offensive pass interference, wasn't called with hands to the face.
It was also, Brent Stevens did grab his jersey, so that's an offsetting penalty.
Well, I'm just saying. What I'm saying is that you can't really single out any one play where it's bad officiating. It was just bad officiating all game. They missed a lot of calls. So some of them went the Bengals' way, some of them didn't. Shut the fuck up.
And like I said, if you're going to call the game poorly as a ref, but when when it's crunch time, when it's like an important drive, and you're gonna put the flags away, I'm all for it. Suck all game. If you're not gonna, in crucial moments make that wrong call, then I will live with the mistake that they made.
What is VD talking about? Those jerseys. I'm wearing those jerseys
purple.
and pants for 5, 6, 7 years.
It is back in 2016. Those gold numbers are fire.
Flacco color, so they've been around since at least the Flacco era.
It was 20. Yeah. I thought it was
2016.
16, yeah.
The first game, it was a Thursday night game against the Browns.
That was the jersey that we were wearing when Joe Flacco almost got murdered by Kiko Alonso.
Yes,
it was.
That might be the first time we wore them.
Yeah.
No, it was the year before. It was against the Browns because he threw 3 touchdowns, also 2 picks. Both of them, I think, were to Joe Hayden. He hit a touchdown to Darren Waller, and then he did some fucking social media pose or whatever. I forgot what it was.
Helmet looked great. Shut the fuck up, BD. You're an idiot.
Yeah, I thought the helmet was fine. I don't like wear the logo helmet. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, I don't know, it just doesn't look right. It, looks out of place. I love that logo. I have that logo tattooed on my arm. So
you know who solved this? What they should have put on the helmet is the B logo.
No, see, but I like the bird logo that they picked. I think it's like, I don't know if it's like too big. Something looks off about it, but
I just think
how much does the Ravens have to pay to use that B?
None. It's on the.
You're thinking of the old logo. You're thinking of this one, BT, right?
Yeah. Yep, that one.
Yeah. That guy took him to court and they lost. So I don't think that they can pay anything for it. They didn't pay him up front, which was
EDC Burner made one with the B, and the B fits better. I think it's just the shape relative to the shape of the helmet. It's a weird shape, and they would have to make it like, I don't know if it's the size of it or what, but
looks slightly out of place, but I don't mind.
No, because like the color of the helmet's awesome. The face mask is great. The accents going down the middle of the helmet stripes look good. The uniform ties together nicely. So I don't know what the fuck Dave is talking about. He's still upset about Miami losing to Georgia Tech.
McDonald's colored professional team, and he wants to fucking talk about uniforms.
Exactly.
Fucking ripped off your entire franchise's look from Ronald McDonald. It is what it is.
Or communist China.
Yeah, it could be that.
Actually, no, Soviet Russia. Actually, that's Soviet Russia, because that does precede Maoist China.
No real difference either. Shitty communist country. So,
yep, the exact same level of cunt on the same spectrum of cunt.
Speaking of shitty communists, so what are we gonna do to get Marcus?
Not really much we can do. What's up with Kyle Hamilton? I know he has the ankle injury. Any timeline on how long he's expected to be out?
I have some breaking news on Kyle Hamilton. So I DM'd him after the game, and I said, "Ignore this if you're gonna play on Sunday," and he has not responded to me yet. So, first reported by Zone 32, he will be playing on Sunday.
Damn right.
And it looks like Isaiah Likely's gonna be playing too. So that's the vibe he's getting with his tweets.
Yeah, you know how this is a really weird situation to be in, given the last few years. But I'm confident they're going to go out there and hang 30 on the Steelers, and it really just all comes down to the secondary for me. I've never watched a team other than the really bad injury years where I'm like, are we going to be able to stop a nosebleed today? And I just don't know if we have it in us. That 70-yard touchdown to Chase, where Marcus Williams is running back to cover Chase, perfectly, even after the ball is thrown, taking a perfect route to break that up. And then all of a sudden he stops,
Runs to the
turns
side.
left, turns to the side, looks at Brandon Williams and puts his hands up like, oh, hey, Brandon, what's going on? What are you doing? It's like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Like, at some point, man, you are you make a shit ton of money to play safety in the NFL because you were an all-pro at some, like, you were good at football at some point. What the fuck happened? Like, how can you not figure out cover 4, cover 2, cover 3? It doesn't seem to matter what the fuck it is. He's getting his ass kicked every day or every game. I mean, you got fucking mossed by Bo Nick, like, which is just, again, we didn't talk about that enough.
Unforgivable.
How does that even happen?
Yeah, it was just you let a fucking 48-year-old quarterback from Oregon fucking make you look like he was prime Randy Moss catching that ball over you, and then your follow-up is to be like, oh hey, I'm gonna go cover Mike Gesicki, down the sideline instead of fucking following Jamar Chase in my cover 4 here. And Darius Washington kind of gets a pass there because he also should have been getting back on that ball too. But Marcus Williams was far worse. I don't know. I'm just like I've kind of fucking had it with it, if we're being honest. I was up Ronnie's ass for fucking years for robbing the Ravens blind, and that was because he was injured and not playing. Marcus Williams is playing and like sucking. Like
Playing horribly.
I don't fucking understand it. Like how he he had a torn pec last year and was a significantly better
much
player
better
than he is now, which just makes no fucking sense to me.
It is a wild downturn. I don't understand.
Well, the splits also
it can't be all on the secondary coach.
The splits on zone versus man are alarming.
Surprising.
That a coach. Well, yeah, it's like, okay, the solution's right there.
So I also get you can't run man every play. Fine, I get that, whatever. Like you can't just go out there and say, hey, man coverage every fucking play. Like I get it. Like logistically that makes sense. Sometimes you gotta change it up a little bit. I think it was Spencer tweeted today to take the Bill Belichick approach of you put Brandon Stevens and a safety over the top, on one side, and you have Marlon man up with the number 2 wide receiver. And I read that and I'm like, oh, it's a really good idea. But then I remember that the safety over the top would be Marcus Williams, and the corner playing basically like a bump and run cover 2 would be Brandon Stevens. So we'd get fucking torched anyway. Like I don't understand why we can't figure this shit out. Like it really can't be that difficult to just take Brandon Stevens off the field and see what happens, and then take Marcus Williams off the field and see what happens. It's got to be one of those two, or it's got to be the combination. They're always on the same side of it, which I feel like is a big issue. Is that you have two fucking morons on that side of the field that can't figure shit out. Brandon Stevens can't figure it out because he can't turn his fucking head around, and Marcus Williams can't get his head out of his ass, so he can't figure it out. So
Brandon Stevens did make a great play that got overturned on replay, but
I also have money. I was looking through the odds before the game, and Brandon Stevens' interception was plus 1,000. So I threw $10 on it. I was like, "Fuck it, why not?" And then I was like, "Holy shit, I just cashed this!" And he couldn't get a foot down. But
yeah, I mean, he made a great play. So I got no problem with what he did there. But
what comment do we have, Peter?
It says sit Williams, move Stevens back to safety and line Marlon and White at C. So
who's it from?
Someone in the Ravens media just recently say that they're keeping Stevens at cornerback.
Yeah, it was Jeff Freebeck. It was Harbaugh. It was a verbatim quote from Harbaugh at a press conference. But
the many Harbaughisms.
I just there's got to be something to do with that secondary that's gonna make it better. It can't be any worse. Like it literally cannot be worse. We are getting fucking eaten alive.
And here from the Facebook comments, hiring Swiss Cheese Peas as special consultant for a passing defense that was already as miserable is like watering your plants during a hurricane.
Yeah, I mean, fair. Like, DP's obviously isn't going to help the situation, but the problem existed before Peas was there. So, I don't know. If we give up 148 yards or more passing this week, we've surpassed the total of passing yards given up from last year.
Oh, 100%.
I may have but I know it's we'll give it up in the first quarter. It's not a one play caliber, giving it up, but it's doable for us to give up, whatever. It's under 200 yards. I know that. So, and I'm sure Russell would fucking torch us on Sunday. I mean, again, like he's, not a good quarterback. I've had many rants against him and his, shortcomings as a quarterback, but like George Pickens is going to eventually get open. It's just going to fucking happen. We're going to have to eat shit on that one. And it's not even going to be our fault for Pickens. Like, he's just going to walk free down the middle of the field because Marcus Williams is going to forget what he has to do. Freiermuth is going to fucking abuse Roquan Smith over the middle, I'm sure. Jalen Warren's probably going to get open out of the backfield. Like, something's got to give. And, I think we had this conversation 2, maybe 3 weeks ago talking about, like, whose fault it was. And I'm kind of sick of that conversation continuing. Like, can the players just step the fuck up at this point? If it's Zach Orr, whatever. If it's John Harbaugh, whatever. If it's fucking Doug Mallory, whatever. But, like, have some fucking pride at some point. You know what I mean? Like, stop getting fucking bullied every game and then being like, oh, we're going to figure it out next week. Like, next week's done and over with. Just fucking do it now.
Yeah, another comment says this dude Ray loved Zach Orr as a player, but his defensive schemes leaves a lot to be desired. Every offense we play is licking their chops to pass 40 to 50 times. And, I mean, Cincinnati just pretty much did that last week. But it has to be a mix of Mallory and Zach Orr and Marcus.
Well, I think a lot of the problem is that going into the year, you promoted Zach Orr too early because you didn't want to lose him. So John Harbaugh, Scotty, I have no idea, pegged Zach Orr as like the next guy that they wanted to be a defensive coordinator rather than letting him walk and go somewhere else, whether it was follow Mike out to Seattle or wherever the fuck he was going to go. They decided to, up his job title and keep him here. Fine. Like, I get the logic behind that. You don't want to lose Zach Orr on your coaching staff. But then the rest of your defensive coaching staff got gutted, and you replaced those guys with a bunch of people who don't have defensive coordinator experience. So you have a rookie defensive coordinator and a bunch of, rookie position coaches. Like, there's a lot of inexperience there, and your head coach doesn't seem to be able to put out the fire, which is my larger issue with that, is that, like, John Harbaugh, the leader of the staff overall, like, you should see the deficiencies in your own staff and make smarter choices to fix those problems before they show up. I mean, because clearly Dean Pease was brought in because Zach Orr is not good at calling a game. Fine, but, like, Dean Pease is the only guy available. Right? So, like, that was just somebody that they were familiar with, and they was like, oh, this guy was a coordinator once. Let's bring him in to help Zach. And it wasn't the right move. I mean, there's guys like Bill Belichick out there. There's guys like Nick Saban out there. There's, a ton of people out there that are known as defensive coaches that you could have brought in to consult at least, to start off the year. Obviously, Bill Belichick wasn't going to take a job as a consultant, but I'm just saying that there are plenty of better options to start the year if you planned ahead. But Dean Pease is kind of the panic hire.
If only Robert Saleh was released earlier.
Yeah, and I don't know if bringing him in right now fixes things because it's week 10. You know what I mean? Like, we have this in place. They've been running the same scheme for. I mean, this is basically the same scheme that Harbaugh's been running since 2012. So, take that for what it is. But, like, you have guys playbook. You don't want to just bring in a brand new defensive coordinator at this point.
No, Drew. So bringing in Saleh, I think wouldn't be like he's the new our defensive coordinator, but he is clearly good at connecting with the defensive players.
Oh, I agree. I'm saying that if you bring Saleh in, you have to only bring him in on a consulting. You can't bring him in to replace Orr.
It would be to bring him in to help fix the issues, not to overhaul. You know what I mean? You have to bring somebody in who's capable of taking our current scheme and our current players and enhancing it to the point that it is serviceable. To find the disconnects and fix them.
Yeah, and, people were talking about Dr. Rush. I was a big Dr. Rush guy last year. I think we all were. Like, where the fuck's he? Why is our pass rush not Dr. Rush?
I mean, technically, we are 4th in the NFL in sacks. I actually looked that up intermittently, which is surprising. We kind of are.
4th in sacks?
We are 4th in sacks with 31.
Dude, I mean, Kyle Van Noy has 7 fucking sacks. There's like 7.5 sacks.
And then Matabike had 3 last week. It's a surprising stat.
I think Owe has like 5.
Yeah.
Maybe 5.5.
It doesn't feel like it.
I know.
It doesn't.
It's so the difference.
The back
is
seven is not that bad this year.
We don't have a guy like last year. Matabike was, what did he end up having, like 13 sacks or something like that last year?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, and then Clowney had 10.
But Clowney had 10. Van Noy had 9.5. So like we had guys with bigger numbers. But like, I mean, you could see one of these, like Kyle Van Noy could go on a run again and get to 13. We could have guys around those same numbers. It just doesn't feel like it because there are times when there's pressure, but we're not finishing, and that feels more like before.
It seems like in clutch spots where put those sacks.
Yeah, but
those key downs.
I think it had, but I think the pass rush, the deficiency in the pass rush does have a decent amount to do with how bad the coverage is. Once the play goes beyond a few seconds, the safeties
It definitely
completely
goes hand in hand.
fuck the whole. Yeah. So we don't have the benefit of any coverage sacks this year, and last year we probably were getting some of those.
Yeah, which is, I guess you don't want to build a defense that relies on coverage sacks, but also like it would be nice to not let players just run wide open down the field. It's annoying, especially somebody like Jamar Chase. Okay, Cedric Tillman runs wide open down the field like nobody knew who Cedric Tillman was before that week. Like it wasn't like it's some elite wide receiver. Jamar Chase is a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. I feel like you should, kind of go in expecting him to get a lot of targets and maybe, especially with T. Higgins out too. So like that their offense is going to run through Jamar Chase. They only had one healthy running back. Mike Gesicki is whatever. That Princeton dork isn't good. So like you knew they were going to throw the ball to Jamar Chase, and they basically told you like we're going to throw the ball to Jamar Chase, and we did nothing about it. So I don't know. It's just kind of annoying to continue to watch the same things happen week after week. And like we don't need the best defense in the NFL to win a Super Bowl at this point either. You know what I mean? Like our offenses can kind of carry us, but you need a defense that you can at least rely on for clutch stops. We really can't do that.
Yeah, we are not very high on turnovers this year, and points allowed is an embarrassment. I don't care being last in passing yards because yards don't mean shit. Yards are style points.
Right.
If your opponent ain't scoring when they get in the red zone, they're kicking field goals, you're gonna win, especially with this offense. Problem is we're not getting when we get to the red area, people aren't settling for field goals, and we're not getting takeaways like at all. Really, I mean some, but not enough to the degree of being confident.
If you
in this defense.
factored in, I'd be curious. I don't know if this stat exists. If you factored in, like, how many turnover-worthy plays have we forced versus how many turnovers do we have? I would be.
I think there's 4 dropped interceptions.
Only 4, but so turnover-worthy throws to our not just straight-up drops like that. They're I don't know that somebody should have been in a spot to make a play on the ball. I guess is my point. I feel like that's what our defense is built to do, is to not give up big plays in between the 20s and just kind of wait for that timely pick to come along. And we're either blowing coverage so that we're giving up the big plays, or we're not capitalizing on the turnover-worthy throws. And that's just it's poor execution on our players, and it's also like our coaching staff has to look at that and say, okay, this isn't working, and find a workaround. I can't answer that question. I don't know what that workaround is because I don't know if Brandon Stephens is capable of manning up with the number 2 wide receiver for an entire game. I don't know why you drafted him in the first round. You won't just fucking throw the kid out there. He cannot be any worse than what we have. I don't know what Mark is, to be honest, because like he has simple assignments, continually blows. I saw people defending the that Chase 70-yard play, saying that like he's taught to go after the first vertical route that he sees. But like
Right.
He doesn't break on Gesicki until after the ball's in the air. And so my issue with that is like what we've said the entire season about Marcus Williams is, sure, if you want to talk about technical, like if Grant was here, he could tell you what a cover 4 is supposed to do theoretically, right? That is Marcus Williams' job, is that he is supposed to break on the first vertical thing that he sees coming down the middle of the field towards him. And so like that's cover 4 theory. What we're talking about is like actual gameplay and like reacting live to something that's happening. And so, your, I don't know, pre-snap read, whatever the fuck, tells you that you're supposed to break on the first vertical route that you see. But then by the time the ball's like let go, it's like crossing over your head before you're breaking on the Gesicki route. Like you gotta be a little innovative and, react to what's going on in the field. And he just has no ability to. I don't understand why. And again, this is the same guy that the Diggs Mile High Mirror. Like he just seems to be a guy who has like so many poster-worthy moments that I'm almost wondering if at this point, like, was he ever actually? I'm starting to question.
He had that really, really solid run when he first came over. Probably the first 4 or 5 games.
The beginning of the game, the beginning of the season, he had 2 or 3 picks in 5 games. Actually, really, it was 2.
Then he got hurt,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
He's after that first run where he was really, really good. He's been hurt a lot, and then like last year, like we say now, he played well last year, even though he had an injury. But when he came back, we were all criticizing him for coming back too early. because he wasn't wrapping up. He was only tackling with one arm. So I don't know. I mean, in general, I'd say he has been disappointing. If you take his time here in its totality, he's had moments. Certainly had moments where he's been really good. I don't think I refuse to believe he has suddenly just become bad at football and he's an idiot because
that's what my question is.
He used to be really smart and good. So I just don't that doesn't just happen.
Actually good though? I don't know. Like I feel like that's a valid question to ask. Was he ever actually good or was he just lucky?
You know what actually kind of like we've said like, oh, it doesn't matter that Geno left. That's Geno Stone. Geno Stone had 7 or 8 interceptions last year.
Yeah,
so,
7.
Like a guy getting interceptions as a safety in this defense, I think is way more about the fact that defense or safeties don't have like a set position, really. You know what I mean? Like they move around so much. So
Geno had so many interceptions because when the ball bounced, he actually fucking caught it.
Yeah, so, but I'm saying
that's all
the fact that we use our safeties so in an unorthodox way, I would say, like they're moving around a lot more in this system than they do in most. So, playing safety for the Ravens, you're probably going to get a lot of opportunities for intercept. Like Ardarius Washington could have like 6 picks this year.
Yeah,
he's had the ball come his way a lot.
Right, and
he's probably dropped 3 himself.
And last year, Geno probably makes those plays, and the defensive flaws are not apparent anymore because, like, we force those turnovers. There's also the whole, mental aspect of a turnover of, like, a quarterback throws an interception, they're going to press, they're going to do dumb shit. You're also giving an elite offense extra possessions there, so they're going to be chasing more points. Like, it just takes the pressure off of everybody if you actually convert on those turnovers.
Yeah.
Put Braid out there, put Keon out there, put somebody else out there if they come down with the ball. I just don't get why we
put Ardarius on the field more in different ways because he has been the guy this year, I'd say, in the secondary who has stepped up. Like he's been everywhere. When he gets opportunities, he takes advantage. Now, I would have liked to see him catch those interceptions that hit him in the hands, but he's still in a position to make plays. And the same cannot be said for Eddie Jackson or Marcus Williams. They're rarely, if ever, near where they need to be. When
I will never
goes
question.
wrong.
I will never question Darius Washington's effort, and I'll never question his his motor, his desire to get another shot at getting an interception. Whereas something bad happens, I feel like he just fucking pouts and doubles down on mistakes, and I felt the same way about Eddie Jackson.
Another good comment is a lot of players are a product of their system. How many have we seen move on and just not live up to their hype in their new homes? I think we had some lucky bounces for sure, but they also benefit from the systems they were in. Example, Mike McDonald and all that staff that we had last season.
So is he saying that Mike McDonald is not a good coach? Or
he is saying that Mike McDonald had all those schemes in places as a safe hold for, to keep all these players in check.
Oh, so he's complimenting Mike McDonald. Sorry, I misunderstood.
Yeah, he's saying it's more about the coaching and the scheme than it is about the specific player. In most cases, like
I think
in some cases that's not like Kyle Hamilton is his own. He's a unicorn.
Where we're seeing Zach Orr is like Dean Pease Jr., whereas Mike McDonald was like a easily top 10 defensive coordinator.
Well, the Ravens had the number 1 defense in football, so.
What Mike McDonald did differently than Dean Pease and Wink was that when something didn't work, he didn't just keep doing it, being like, fuck it, it'll work next time. He switched it up a little bit. It's been the same base scheme since Dean Pease took over. Like this is not like a new, style of football playing. Like it's something that we've been doing for years. But Mike McDonald was smart enough. I don't know what other word to use besides smart enough to see when something wasn't working and to adjust it in real time. Whereas I feel like Wink has never done that. Pease never did that. And it's just like Zach Orr is not doing it. So I don't know why our defensive coordinators can't adjust. It was the same problem that we always have with Greg Roman, too. Like when shit was going wrong, when the screenplay wasn't working for Greg Roman, rather than being like, oh, maybe I shouldn't call that play anymore, he'd call 3 more of them. And I feel like it's the same problem with Zach Orr of like having Brandon Stevens and Marcus Williams on the same side of the field, has resulted in a hell of a lot of passing yards and a hell of a lot of passing touchdowns. And rather than being like, maybe I shouldn't do this anymore, he just keeps doing it, hoping that it's going to work. It's the definition of insanity, repeating the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And like, it's not going to change. So let's fucking do something. Or, Marcus Williams, have some fucking pride and figure it out. Brandon Stevens, turn your fucking head around one time and make an interception. Shut us all up. I don't know. Again, Rashad wants to post his little fashion shows on Twitter after good games. Like, good. When you catch the game-winning touchdown pass, you can do that kind of. Marcus Williams, if you want to stop fucking pouting and acting like you're being, persecuted by the Baltimore media and the Baltimore fans for things that aren't your fault, step up and make a fucking play and shut us up. It's irritating. Like, I shouldn't be getting this mad over a fucking sports team that I'm not a part of, but I am getting this mad because I keep seeing the same shit happen over and over again.
Very true. Well, from that point on, we're going to go from one division rival to another because it's about that time.
Can we stop calling the Bengals division rivals? A rivalry means that it's not one-sided and one side isn't kicking the fuck out of the other side. And when Lamar Jackson is healthy, he's one loss as starter against the Bengals. So just because the Bengals beat Josh Johnson and Tyler Huntley, doesn't make it a rivalry. Like, we own the fucking Bengals when Lamar starts. So I'm sick and tired of this division rivalry. They have not risen to that level yet.
They absolutely still believe it's a rivalry.
The Browns are far more of a rivalry than the Bengals are at this point. The Browns have actually beaten Lamar Jackson. The Steelers have actually beaten Lamar Jackson. Bengals have really not beaten.
Mm-hmm.
So
to that point, the Ravens and Lamar Jackson haven't beaten the Steelers since his first Super Bowl, not Super Bowl, but his first MVP run, which is very bad. But anyway, so I guess I don't know, one-sided lately for sure. But either way, the Ravens are going to Acrisure Stadium to play the Steelers. Going to see some old teammates who went over there because they're cunts. So this is the hit 'em up week, and I don't talk the shit that I do to the Bengals fans I do to the Steelers fans because fuck them. Fuck Mike Tomlin.
I invited one of the defectors on the podcast. He didn't respond to me. I only wanted 5 minutes of his time because I had one very pointed question for him, but maybe we'll have to wait for that answer.
He's too busy trying to defend himself against his dirty play last week against the Commanders.
But that's
like
why
should have told him we're going to talk to him about anime.
Why don't we have fucking guys doing dirty shit? Like, where's that fucking edge? That's what I want.
Well,
I want Roquan Smith to
if you ask
somebody out of pound.
Hey, listen, if you ask the Bengals fans, Roquan Smith is the dirtiest player in the game.
Right, but he was doing dirty shit last year. He was hitting people a little bit late. He was, maybe hitting a little high on guys.
They're talking about the hit that he didn't get flagged for and now has not been fined for either.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because they rescinded it.
Yeah, I just saw that
drop thing, right? That was like elements of a hip drop tackle or some dumb.
And just
shit
I said the next day when they were saying, "Oh, it's a hip drop." It's not a hip drop. It was a bang bang play.
Yeah,
a hip drop tackle can't happen on a bang bang play. It can't. It's like a developing tackle. It just can't happen.
When they fined him, I didn't have a problem with it. I also don't have the problem with them taking the fine away. I'm happy that there were no flags thrown on the field. And if you're going to try to eradicate hip drop tackles, fine. Fucking take the player's money away. I really don't care. Not my money.
But that wasn't a hip drop tackle. That was just two guys meeting at the point of the catch. And
it looked more like one than it actually was. It's kind of like when they call targeting in college. Like, there are times where there is clearly a guy, launches and leads with the crown of his helmet and makes forcible contact to the head or neck, and they get called for targeting and they get thrown out. Michigan game this weekend, an Indiana guy got tossed for targeting, and it was more like what you're talking about, of like, it was just reactionary to what was going on in the play. And like, it looked like targeting, but that wasn't his intent. But so you can't really flag or fine intent. So like
So like, that's one of those,
whatever, I get it.
In college, they've done it right with that call where they're able to go look at it and say,
"Oh no, he got tossed." The Indiana guy got tossed, but there was
what I'm saying is, in college, they're able to go back and look at it and say, "Okay, there was contact with the head, but it wasn't targeting." It was like, it's like basically like there's a 15-yard penalty, but it's not it
doesn't raise the level of an ejection.
Right, exactly. So they can that's a judgment call. Now, I think like 2 weeks ago in the NFL, there was a guy kicked out for targeting.
Yeah, and I feel like
it was Brian Banks. It was Brian Banks.
and I feel like it was pretty egregious. I could be wrong, but if it's the
That
play
type
that
of
I'm
shit.
thinking of,
It was.
like,
it was
Yeah.
pure headhunting.
It was
Yeah.
like pure headhunting
That was
on like
that was
a
determined
defenseless wide
on
receiver.
review. But
Yeah.
I've never seen like when there's a targeting call made on the field in college, they review it every single time. Every time.
Yeah, they don't ever review it in the NFL, but
No.
this time they did.
Yeah.
But that's a long way of saying like I want Roquan Smith to fucking take Najee Harris's. I want somebody to do something fucking dirty. I want to fight on the sideline. I want Russell.
What I
Wilson
really
to
want to
be-
see is Patrick Queen doing that bullshit to trying to do that bullshit to Derrick Henry.
Well, so that's what I was going to ask Patrick Queen if he came on. Is that we have the Tylan Wallace stiff arming Stone, going off the sideline. Like, what's Patrick Queen going to do to avoid being Derrick Henry? Is what I was curious to hear.
So Derrick Henry. This is another Spencer tweet I saw today. We're giving him lots of credit today, but I believe he said that Derrick Henry has 4 touchdowns in his last 5 games against the Steelers. May even be less than that. He has 4 touchdowns in some small sample size, and he's averaging 4.2 yards per carry, and that was on a team with a horrific offensive line. So that was just Derrick Henry asserting himself on the Steelers. And this year, so last year, I believe he was getting like negative 0.2 yards or something before he was contacted.
I think it was like
by
a full
defenders.
yard.
It was crazy. And this year, he's getting like 2.4 yards before a defender touches him.
And whatever
on
the
average.
difference is, I'm pretty sure his yards per carry is like the same as the difference between when he gets contacted first.
Yeah, right. So if he's averaging 4.2, right? If he's averaging 4.2 while he's playing for the Titans against the Steelers, I mean, we could. This is
6,
you know, when you put your parlays in, go heavy on Derrick Henry yards and touchdowns. That's my lean personally. So that's a big change, and I think probably part of the consideration when they were looking for to go out and get a top tier running back free agent, that they needed to be able to beat Pittsburgh, because winning those Pittsburgh games means a lot when you're doing tiebreakers. Because not only is it a division game, it's a conference game. So those things all factor into the.
Yeah, I mean,
the
you
tiebreaker
have
formula.
to go 4 in the division to kind of feel good about yourself for the year. Which means that you gotta sweep the Browns and sweep Cincy, or you gotta at worst split. So you have to be able to beat.
Right.
And you lose the road game to the Browns. Like, if you're looking at the division schedule, like the road game to the Browns and the road game to the Steelers are the ones that you're like, I don't want to lose these, but if you do lose them, it's kind of, or in the road game in Cincy too, I guess you can kind of look at it and be like, if you lose a road divisional game, it's not the end of the world. We've swept Cincy. We already lost 1 game to the Browns, so like, let's beat the fuck out of this.
Yep.
And again, let's hit Russell Wilson out of bounds. Let's knock them off their fucking game. Let's make George Pickens throw punches.
Right.
Amen to that.
I want somebody, whoever the best shit talker at corner is, that's who I want covering. Trippy had tweeted earlier today that he wants Nate Wiggins lined up on George Pickens the whole game. If Nate Wiggins is the guy that's going to get under George Pickens' skin, then by all means, fucking line him up all game. And I want somebody telling George Pickens that, I don't know, all kinds of whatever the fuck's going to throw him off his. Offensively, they don't have a ton that scares me. They have some speed with Miles Austin that's kind of, starting to get figured out.
Alvin Austin. Miles Austin is old.
No, Miles Austin for the Kardashians and played for the Cowboys, right?
Yeah.
Is that the right guy?
I think he had bald head and no eyebrows.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. He had a 1 or 2 year span of being relevant in the league.
Miles, Tavon,
Yeah.
Calvin. It's all the same shit to me anyway. So, yeah, I mean, he's kind of coming around. Mike Williams had a more productive 1 game with the Steelers than he had a whole season with the Jets. So, I don't know, like maybe – but that's all – Mike Williams is a guy that I want skill set wise that kind of matches up a little bit better for me.
More physical.
More physical. Jalen Warren and Najee Harris. Jalen Warren is better than Najee Harris. And I feel like if Travis Jones is healthy, then Najee Harris is kind of going to be a non-factor. He does most of his damage in between the tackles, and we've done a pretty good job stopping in between the tackles running. It's Jalen Warren to the outside that I'm a little more nervous about, but again, doesn't totally scare me. Freiermuth, I feel like you have to put Simpson on him. Again, stop putting Roquan in these ones to get embarrassed. Put Trent Simpson on the field more and let Roquan kind of do what he does. So again, that's like the defensive game plan. I'm sure it's all going to go to shit. And, George Pickens is going to run free down the sideline for like an 80-yard touchdown at some point. But If you can just kind of limit the embarrassing plays on defense and only give up a couple bad plays, then I can live with that. Offensively, the Steelers have been pretty good at stopping the run this year. But like we just talked about with Derrick Henry, I'm not really as concerned. I don't think they've faced a running back like Derrick Henry yet. And for whatever reason, the drop seems the worst when we play Pittsburgh. Last couple of years, our wide receivers have had a ton of drops. I think this could be a big Deontay Johnson game, though, because Mike Tomlin is running his fucking mouth about Deontay Johnson. So
John Harbaugh is a petty guy. We know this, and John Harbaugh saw those comments today about Mike Tomlin saying like Deontay Johnson, there's bigger roles for me to be worried about. That's not one that concerns me. So John Harbaugh is probably like Deontay Johnson's going to get 15 targets.
John Harbaugh has a post-game written where he says, "Yeah, we had bigger guys that were bigger roles out of, but Deontay stepped up today like that." Yeah, as like a fuck you to Tomlin. So yeah, that's kind of the guy that I would look for to go off. Zay, matches up well against them. They kind of have more of a physical defense, and Zay's kind of got the make them miss yards after the catch kind of guy. Sure, Bateman will have 2-3 backbreaking drops. That's just what he fucking does.
On that topic, how about this? Let's put this on the record. Rashad Bateman, I know you seek out what we say about you.
Pussy.
Hear this very clearly. If you drop one fucking pass this week, it's going to be a bloodbath for you next week. This is you cannot, after what you did last year, come into this game and drop any passes.
Rashad, I'm not going to threaten you. You're just a pussy. So prove me wrong.
Okay. You're being a lib right now. I'm not saying a bloodbath like I'm going to go to his house and kill him. I'm talking about on this podcast. It's going to be a bloodbath.
I wouldn't mind that end result either. So who's the lib, Mister? I'm going to say mean words to him. Like let's. I'm about to match.
No, we are going to be very. So and we'll extend him an invite to come on and defend himself. But
I extend him an invite every fucking list. He doesn't read it. Instead, he sends his dumbass cousins in my fucking or his little fucking goons in my DMs allegedly. I don't know if that was a real Rashad Bateman person or not, but retarded Rashad, like fucking dude, let's go.
Regardless,
don't drop the ball, dude. Don't drop the ball.
Going to bully him.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to bully him regardless. I care. People have now accused me of like I have personal beef with Rashad Bateman. Like, sure, I have personal with any asshole wide receiver who acts like he is an all-pro top 10 wide receiver and does not produce. And that is what Rashad is that he is this inconsistent guy who is going to make a couple plays that wow you, and then he's going to do a couple things that make you want to put your fist through the fucking television. And I don't really, it's been 3 years of me wanting to put my fist through the television, and he hasn't done enough good to cancel it out for me. It's really that simple.
We still talk about Lee Evans. If you drop the ball, if you drop the ball, you will be talked about.
I made a joke about killing Rashad Bateman. I would actually beat the living fuck out of Lee Evans standing in front of me right now. Like very few human beings that I hate on the A-Rod and Lee Evans are probably my top two.
Think about it. We have such a problem on the Ravens with wide receivers.
Drop.
So we have such a problem with wide receivers taking it to the next. We've never had a wide receiver who is like truly elite. It looks like we might right now. Looks like there's a guy on that track, but we still don't. We've never had that guy. And so when we draft a guy in the first round or we sign a guy in free agency who's supposed to come in and make a difference, and then they fucking drop touchdowns, then there's going to be not only backlash,
and they never drop. It's
like
never like
severe backlash.
It's never like low leverage drops. Is that the right word? I don't know. It's never like
Bateman's 2 weeks ago. That little touch pass that Lamar threw when he broke the pocket, he floated it to him and Bateman dropped. Really we were winning by 14 points. That was a low leverage drop, but it means something because
he dropped two crucial
downs,
so
it means something because it's him dropping the ball after he's already been dropping the ball in huge spots. So
Lee Evans drops the game-winning touchdown pass against the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. TJ Houshmandzadeh dropped a crucial third down in the playoffs. Hollywood Brown drops like 4 touchdowns in the game that we ended up having to win by like a miracle 66-yard field goal that bounced through. Like these are the kind of shit that like sticks with fans, and that's why
Rashad Perryman drops
fucking everything, and then cried whenever he stood up and cheered for him when he actually caught it back. That's why I hated him, and it wasn't that he dropped everything. It was the fucking Oh, I thought that was uncalled for. Cheer for. It was a really fucking cold Christmas Eve game against the Colts. It was like freezing rain. I still remember that. And then we had a defensive stop to end it. That was a stupid story, but anyway. Yeah, just when you have high profile, you need to do shit to like make us forget about that. And Rashad still hasn't really done that. I don't know. Do it. Shut me up. Whatever. Like, yeah, I don't care if all your fanboys fucking tweet me and run their mouths. Fine.
Mo's
Do
back.
something on that. Who is?
No.
Not Mo. Our friend Abdi Hassan. This is
love
why
to
I
see
wish
it.
people would just not use commas on social media, because this one
What?
just reads poorly.
Yes.
Why?
The
Read
placement of
it.
the comma.
I can't see. I'm wearing
It
sunglasses
says,
inside my.
I'm going to read it to you, and I'm going to read you where the comma is. It says,
Okay.
I would love to see Micah Parsons black, comma, and purple.
I would argue that if you opened your eyes and looked at television, you could see Micah Parsons black. So,
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Just listen. People are not great with commas, but they try and use them online. And you can really tell the people who know how to use commas and who don't, because either it's perfect or they don't use them at all. And those are people who understand commas. And then there's people who use them like this, and they don't understand how commas work at all. So
I
just
love the I like the
bail on
semicolon
commas.
people. I like the semicolon people more. They're way funnier because nobody wants to use a fucking semicolon in general, even when it's the right time to use it. So when people try to throw them in, I'm like, oh, so you're trying to sound smart and you're not.
Yeah, too many. Just get rid of get rid of punctuation altogether when you're online. Doesn't matter unless it's like if it was the other way around and you really needed to put some kind of punctuation in there to make sure that it doesn't read in a questionable way. Then go ahead. But
Right, yeah, like I'm thinking of like things that you could say without a comma that may be read wrong. Typically they make you look like a sex offender or something like that. Okay, so yeah, maybe throw in the comma there, so you're separating thoughts and not looking like a pedophile on the timeline. But like, yeah, they're just less punctuation is better. Spelling is for nerds, stuff like that.
Yeah,
Typical social media decorum.
Yeah,
But,
well, my favorite thing is when you eviscerate someone. Like you're in an argument, you have the greatest point ever, but you have like a misspelling or a typo in there somewhere, and their response is just pointing out the typo.
I'm like, well, but then they kind of win.
They do, right? That's like, so that's why, like, especially with punctuation, forget the punctuation. That could be someone's loophole to winning the argument with you when you actually win. So bail on the punctuation. I try to.
Yeah. Speaking of Micah Parsons, I don't know. He said something that pissed a lot of people off this week. Something about, I don't know, he feels bad for guys on 1-year contracts having to play under Mike McCarthy. So just shout out.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, he in front of the camera, I listened to the quote. It was something to the effect of like, I'm here for a couple more years. So like whether Mike coaches next year or not doesn't really affect me. But like I feel bad for guys like, I think he mentioned Zach Martin specifically.
I see. You see. Okay. I thought you meant guys they signed to 1-year contracts. You're saying guys who are on the last year of their contract. Okay, I got it.
Yeah. So top 5 Jerry Jones kind of dropping the fucking ball in Dallas. Real shame.
There's a lot of bad going on there.
Real shame that Grant's not defend that point. Most absurd thing ever said out loud on this podcast.
I don't know. But part of that was him praising Ryan Poles too. They got a great situation in Chicago, huh? All those trades.
Well,
DJ Moore, which was the entire premise of that argument. DJ Moore, who's a great player, but DJ Moore is like a malcontent out there and like walking off the field in the middle of plays.
So remember the theme of the Joe Burrow, and there's no offensive lineman or Joe Burrow behind. I don't remember who the top offensive lineman was that year, like throwing to wide receiver A. Like the Bears tripled down on that and got 3 really good wide receivers. Signed DeAndre Swift, who's like, I don't want to say like kind of like a poor man's Alvin Kamara, a guy who can like catch and run out of the backfield, but they have no fucking offensive line, and they have some retard offensive coordinator who can't call plays, and you got a nail painting rookie as your quarterback who can't deal with getting hit.
And not just that, the offensive coordinator that he
got fired.
He got fired, and then the list of guys that they did not hire, who they interviewed, is like Cliff Kingsbury, what's the guy's name, Liam Cohn. And so there's one more guy, and they're all killing it. I forget who the third one was, but all of them are crushing it.
And Todd Monken's got some ties to Chicago too. I feel like they were in on him before we got him last year. So even like before Waldron. So
Yeah, just a horrific choice. I mean,
I also feel like Grant put his general manager in the mix. They fucking suck.
Chris Greer, he did.
Just in general, fucking loser franchise. Tua leaped the crown of his helmet on a tackle was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen somebody do. I know we don't typically talk about other games, but I don't know if anybody saw that last night. Tried to make a tackle and led with his head. So just.
And then he was laughing it up about it after the game.
Yeah, total fucking moron. Tyreek Hill beats women again. I forgot Odell Beckham until every once in a while on an offensive play you just see him wandering around out there. So
he made one catch, I believe.
Yeah, just total loss for that. That was maybe one of the worst lengthened arguments we've ever had on this podcast in terms of just how many wrong things he shoved into one segment here.
Trent Baalke was on there too.
Well, I mean, all credit to Trent Baalke because his daughter tweeted out fire Greg Roman while he was the GM in San Francisco.
With the Niners?
Yeah, she tweeted some really negative shit about Greg Roman. I just remember that, so I have respect for the Baalke family, but
that's fair.
Just funny.
It's funny.
That is epic.
Even worse.
What did he say?
Zamboni says Odell is the touchdown celebration coordinator.
And it's literally all he does there.
Yeah, man, he took a nice paycheck to just retire in Miami. He was probably going to hang out in Miami.
Where he already lived. Yeah.
Right.
Can't say I blame him. No state taxes. Sunshine. Just got to deal with hurricanes sometimes.
Yeah, every once in a while. They don't really hit Miami. They're pretty safe over there.
Yeah.
Or they're about to get hit again in the southwest Florida coast. Yeah.
Goddamn Black Rock hurricane working overtime.
I know. Election's over and they're still pumping them out.
Yeah, what the fuck? I thought that
they're really punishing Florida. Yeah.
Yeah, really punishing Florida for going red there. God damn.
Right.
I got whipped into one of those conspiracy threads one time. It was one of the most interesting things I've ever read. That people who are
you got so far you were like, this is really starting to make sense.
No, it was like I walk up people on a daily basis and I don't know that they're this stupid.
Well,
it was just
the dangerous part about those threads is like you said, if you get too far in, then you have to it's like Inception. Like you need the totem.
Mm-hmm.
Like you need to know, like, am I in the thread now or like am I still safe? You can get too deep.
Like, is this the guy who made my coffee for me this morning at Dunkin' Donuts? Did he put like some drug in it? Yeah, it's just terrifying.
Yeah. You have to remind yourself, okay, I'm reading this for laughs. Don't take it seriously.
It's like watching. If you watch InfoWars as a comedy show, it's fucking peak entertainment. Alex Jones is fucking hilarious. But then you're like, there are people who watch Alex Jones and are like, oh my god, he knows everything.
Yeah, they're taking notes.
Yeah.
I was like, you are the dangerous people that I don't want to be on. Be around, like be near in public, because you're a threat to society if you believe that kind of shit. So
him dressing up in that fucking frog suit, painting his face green, and hopping around as a gay frog was one of the better things I've seen on the internet in a long time. That was
hilarious.
Arguably, he's definitely in on some of it. He has to be.
So not to get too far off topic here, there's a documentary of the whole Sandy Hook thing with him, and one of the fathers is talking to him outside of the court and is like, fuck you, you're a piece of shit, blah blah blah. He's like, and the father's like, I don't know, I have autism or some mental deficiency, and Alex Jones looks him dead in the face and goes, yeah, I'm kind of retarded. And it was the hardest I've ever laughed at anything I've ever seen on television. I'm like, this is why he's peak entertainment, is that he is just like nobody. I would never think to say that to somebody, but it was fucking hilarious. But I'm like, there are people who watch him and are like, oh yeah, this guy's the smartest person alive and knows everything that happened in the world. I'm like, no, he's just a fucking moron who's selling you like fake supplements, but incredibly entertaining.
All right, y'all want to get into
the Ravens
the scores and jersey combinations?
Do we want to get into scores? I don't even know if I want to give a score because I just how many points does our defense give up realistically? Like I'm now okay giving up like 28 points. Like I feel like I could just live with that. If I went into the week knowing that we're only going to give up 28 points, I'd love our chance. But I don't even know if I can be comfortable with that anymore.
Basically, I mean, that was going to be my score pick anyways. It'd be like 30-27. Yeah.
Which fucking scares the shit out of me because like we have these offensive meltdowns against Steelers all the time.
Well, and like last year, last year we lost on blown coverage against George Pickens at the end of the game, or should have won the game, and especially because we had 7 drop passes and 3 drop touchdowns or something.
Yeah, we had 7 drop passes, and I think Marlon hadn't played in 6 weeks, and that was like his first game back, and he played a go route wrong on a cover on like a critical play. And it's just like, is our defense going to put us in that spot again where, 3 blown coverages and all of a sudden it's a game again and who the fuck knows what happens? Like, I don't want to deal with that. I'd love a stress-free Sunday, I guess is what I'm getting at. So,
Same.
This team ain't built like that.
Stress-free Steelers Sunday, man, that would be glorious.
That would be wonderful.
The last stress-free Steelers Sunday we had, RG.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is terrifying.
Yes, and that was in the last decade.
Wednesday.
Not this current decade.
Yeah, it was 2019. No, it was 2020.
No, it was the COVID season.
No, it was 2019.
But
it was 2019 because it was right before New Year's.
But no, it was after New Year's. It was like January 4th or something like that.
Were we resting?
Yeah.
Let's double check the dates. I'm pretty sure it's December 30th.
I think it was shortly after, but I could be wrong.
Hold on a second.
It was
100%
week 17 of 2019.
It was.
And I'm thinking it was after New Year's, but now maybe I'm wrong because there was only 17 weeks, not 18 weeks.
December the 29th. It was before New Year's. Because we had the bye week.
Yeah, like I said, it was last decade. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
It was back when Michael Thomas was good at football.
Right. Yeah, it was actually. Because that was his he broke
Player of the year.
Yeah, Offensive Player of the Year. He broke the record for most catches in a year. He passed Marvin Harrison.
Something like that.
Who's the retard that Will was all like, oh, we should sign him over Michael Thomas, and we signed him, and he's like, oh, yeah, we gave him all his guaranteed money. He's definitely going to make the roster, and we fucking cut his ass. Russell Gage. Yeah.
That was.
I mean, Russell Gage has gotten signed to an NFL team, and Michael Thomas hasn't. So.
Yeah, but Michael Thomas
also
was brutally destroying, Mascara guy on Sunday, so that was pretty fun to watch.
All right, yeah.
Derek Carr, total assole.
Yeah, something needs to change, though. I mean, we can't continue losing to those fucks because that's.
Jake, did you give your score?
At least,
you said it was 30-27 your score.
30-27 Ravens. I'm not doing the cute thing like I did week 1. So if we don't beat them at all this year, I will never pick this team with John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson running the show to beat the Steelers again because they've proven they can't. If they don't do it one this year, you got to either beat them this week or you got to beat them right before Christmas. This cannot continue. Otherwise, then I'm like, fuck this. Which I mean, we've seen over the past couple of years. Harbaugh doesn't like to win ugly games. He likes to win the style points because he's a bitch.
What's your uniform?
I'm going white-black. Why? I'm not sure, but I'm just going white-black. It's a safe answer.
All right. BT?
I'm going to go white-black as well. And as far as score, I was going to go a little bit lower. I was going to go like 27-24 Ravens.
Okay. I'm going to go white-purple because we're going to wear white-purple. It's worked this year. And Ravens pay attention to that kind of stuff per sources. So, white purple. I'm going to go 31-21 final score. I'm feeling Russell Wilson's stupid play that cost them some points at the end.
All right. White purple is definitely the right pick because the Steelers are going to wear black jerseys. So I feel like you want to
always wear black jerseys.
I know, but you want to avoid, I think, wearing.
You don't want to match them. So.
Yeah. So I think white purple is going to be the uniform. And I have a really similar score to Drew, 33-24 score. So almost the same point differential.
9-10 point difference,
Yeah. And you two, Jake and BT, have really similar scores too. So I mean, I think we're all thinking kind of the same thing. It's just that me and Drew are counting on the Ravens closing out the fourth quarter, and maybe you guys are.
See, I'm counting on Russell to do something stupid. I don't really trust our defense as much as I hate.
I don't mean the defense. I mean the offense.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I just mean like
keep away.
It's like Derrick Henry closer time in the fourth quarter.
Well, I mean, also, in their games this year, they're 1-2 against teams that can run the ball effectively against them. If it's 80 or more, they're 1-2, and if you don't give up sacks.
Oh, so 80 yards is the magic number to put up against Steelers rushing? Is what you're saying?
Yep.
That and averaging over 4 yards a carry. If it's like 3 point something, then now they've won those games.
Well, and I think we're going to see Lamar run the ball a lot more than we have the past two. So we'll get back to that.
A lot more run option.
Yeah.
Also, can we stop with the Mike Tomlin Ravens fans, please? I'm tired of arguing the whole. I don't know if you enough this week. I'd rather have Mike Tomlin than John Harbaugh. Like they're the same
guy. Same fuck are we talking about?
Literally the same guy.
They're the same fucking guy. They're guys who won rings with elite all-time rosters. and have squandered good rosters before and just seem to always find a way to lose close games. So,
I mean, a lot of these the Legion of Gloomers, whatever the fuck they want to call themselves or whatever, they want an offensive-driven team, basically be like the 04 Colts, fucking Manning, Reggie Wayne, fucking Marvin Harrison. The Steelers had the killer bees. If you want Mike Tomlin, we saw what happened with that. They lost. They were good, but not good enough to get it done.
Mike Tomlin coach team hasn't won a playoff game since 2015. If John Harbaugh had won a playoff game since 2015,
people would have revolted.
Fucking burning shit to the ground. Yeah. So and then those very same people are the ones who are saying they would rather have Mike Tomlin than John Harbaugh. It's crazy. It's insane.
I also feel like there's an interesting reason behind why they would want Tomlin, but I don't know if we want to get into that. So,
no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Nah, we won't. On the podcast where we do all that.
Just know we all know what that reason. That's all.
Yep.
Interesting.
Quite
interesting.
Quite interesting.
Quite interesting indeed.
Quite interesting.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's going to do it for this week's installment. We'll be back to discuss this, that, and the other. But meanwhile, it's time for me to die.
Zone 32.